songs, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc, where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
You just have to really be someone who's interested in encouraging kids to learn and be able to deliver that material. You certainly don't have to be an expert. I'm not an expert in all these disciplines, but I'm able to find people, but I also recognize the inquiry-based value in what we offer kids. I can learn alongside those kids and guide their learning experience and support their opportunity to explore a variety of different topics. In the end, that's really what it's about, is the exploration, making friendships, having the opportunity to really to explore lots of different interests.
All right, we are live again. This is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We have a really cool edition about how Kenny, who's a Park and Rec director over in
Wallingford, Connecticut.
Yeah, and he found a great talent that he brought in for programming, all about STEM, running STEM. Actually, I'm gonna rather me butcher it. I'll let them explain what they do a little bit better. But before we get started, well, first of all, how are y'all doing? Y'all having a good holiday season?
Excellent, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing well. Got all the Christmas celebrations here in New Orleans. It's a party city, so they don't need an excuse to throw a party. But when you give them an excuse, they really go out and throw all kind of lights
we got a little on the ground up here in Connecticut, so that's it's adding to the holiday season, which is nice.
Yeah,
woke up this morning with a little bit of snow, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, we don't get much of that down here. That's why we chose to live in New Orleans. It's no snow. Okay, but before we get started, I wanted to give a special shout out and thank you to Outdoor Link. They have been one of my earliest partners. I knew them when I was a former vendor long ago, a former lifetime, and they were just an amazing company to work with out in Alabama. And they actually help cities become smart cities and are able to turn everything on and off off of a cell phone or an iPad. So you can be a director, family vacation on the beach, and some catastrophe calls you. They left the lights on at 2 a.m. You can just get on your phone and flip them off from anywhere in the world. So it's really cool technology they have. So I'll play a little promotion for them because they're a big supporter of ours. And we're actually doing a show with them about smart cities. So that'll be coming out in January. And then I'll play our strategic partnership promotion, which shows how other vendors can help us create this media company for Parks and Rec. So we'll play that and we'll come right back and start our conversation with Chris and Kenny.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. And even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
All right, so maybe we can start off with just a little introduction. Kenny, why don't you go first, kind of explain people what you do in Parks and Rec, and then we can go into how you got connected with Chris.
Sure thing, Craig. Thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure being here. I think it's the third show, so I've been lucky enough to be brought back a third time.
Yes.
But I brought one of our staples in our department over the last I would say 10 years or so. Wallingford resident and former fifth grade teacher in town. Now the STEM coordinator, or I'm not sure what the exact title is, but for the Wallingford school system, that's Chris Stone. So my role here as the director of Parks and Recreation, as we've discussed previously, is the oversight of our town's park system. We have a 40,000 square foot community center, which houses the Parks and Recreation Department, Youth and Social Services, and Government Television. About 30,000 square feet of it is Parks and Recreation specific. Classrooms, preschools, gymnastics rooms, 2 gymnasiums, 3 multi-purpose dance, karate, aerobics, Zumba rooms, 5 meeting rooms. We cover everything from toddlers to seniors, and everything from sports, arts, STEM, you name it, we've probably hosted it. We're coming back on today to talk about our STEM programming, working with Chris Stone over the last 10, 11 years, and growing STEM as a viable program in the community. I think sometimes Parks and Recreation gets the stigma that it's sports specific, but we've grown and expanded our offerings, most notably in the area of STEM that we're going to talk about here today.
Fantastic. And I love that you're bringing up that point about how you're right. It's often we just have soccer, football, baseball, maybe basketball, stuff like that. And then that's it. But there's really, well, and after school care, you could say, but there's really so much more that you offer for all the needs of your community. And this being one of the great ones. So really love to highlight what you're doing there. I didn't realize y'all had such a vibrant, large offering and community center there.
Yeah, our community center, we're pretty fortunate. Although technology-wise, we're getting to the 20th century, and Chris knows the history on that. But when my colleagues used to say, "What do you mean you don't have email yet?" And I'm like, "What do you mean you're stuck in a cubicle at town hall?" I'm like, I would trade our facility for email and internet at that time, because I never had to stress where we were going to run our programs or play our games or do what we needed to do.
Yeah, it really is I think it's a good trade-off, and hopefully as you kind of get into the more technology side, do you have any plans on making a gaming room? Or I know they have like esports and stuff like that.
No, we do a lot of our esports is virtual, where we send out links to people. So we had no real intention on setting up a room for that, where we've just been doing it pretty much remotely.
Yeah. Well, I know we've been threatening to put some type of esports league for the whole country, because there are a lot of esports stuff, whether it's done virtually or whether they have your own facility. I just think it's something that a lot of Parks and Rec facilities are starting to lean into a little bit more, since it's such a part of the kids' lives and how they can kind of network. I know my kids have made like some substantial connections and friends online with all this gaming stuff, and Parks and Rec are starting to lean into that a little bit more. Yeah,
definitely. It's definitely an area that it's beginning to venture into.
Yeah. All right, Chris, so why don't you give us a little background of your story and how you got into doing what you do now?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you again for having us on the show. I appreciate it. Happy to talk about our really wonderful program that Kenny and I have collaborated on for many years. I'm a 30-year public school educator in the town of Wallingford. Back in 2011, myself with a couple other public school educators founded our nonprofit, Connecticut STEM Academy. And that was founded essentially with a grant from NASA called Summer of Innovation. Essentially, they were small grants of $2,000 that were meant to kind of seed local grassroots STEM initiatives. And we had collaborated with the town of Wallingford and also a longtime partner of ours, the Spanish community of Wallingford as well, to launch that program. From there, it really, it grew tremendously from our partnership with Wallingford Youth and Social Services to our partnership with the Parks and Recreation Department, which has been longstanding now for many, many years. We really are part of the fabric of the community. We have a couple different programming facilities, both in town-owned buildings, one here at the Parks and Recreation Department, and one also at another site, which is a larger 3,000 square foot facility as well. So I know we'll dive deep into some of the offerings that we have and some of the enrollment numbers and statistics that we can go ahead and share to really highlight and illustrate the impact that we've had over many years in the town of Wallingford.
Why don't you give a little definition for those who are not familiar with what STEM is and where that came from, or even the history? I don't even know the history of STEM. And when
oh my gosh. I'm not sure I know the history of the development of the phrase or the word either. So, or the acronym rather. So STEM is, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to tie in a variety of disciplines. STEM is a really broad educational term that is used. So I think robotics is probably a really good example of one of the ways that you can highlight a variety of different STEM topics. One of our long-term partnerships that we have is with a national organization, NASA AstroCamp. And within their curriculum that we utilize and implement at a local level, there's many, many different STEM-based experiments from, say, like rocketry to, as I mentioned before, robotics to, designing, a colony that may exist like a prototype on, say, like on the moon or on Mars.
Fantastic. And using robotics as an example that we can kind of add a little, I guess, definition to, how do y'all incorporate robotics or teach robotics as an example?
Sure. In terms of, our park and recreation partnership and our offerings, there's a variety of different approaches that we do take. Although if you looked at those pieces all together, there is a point to it as it kind of builds one upon the other. So we do have some beginner approaches for, say, like an age, 6, 7, 8 group that may utilize some of our simpler robotics like Ozobots or Spheros or a Lego WeDo platform. And that really is meant to be an introduction to kids of that age into that robotics area with a little bit of engineering, a little bit of coding, and some teamwork as well. From there, we add on some additional platforms, a little higher level Lego robotics with Lego Mindstorms and Lego Spike Prime that we'll start offering in the future. And then VexIQ Robotics, which I'll talk about our competition team that we have that is quite successful. UB Tech Robotics. So those kind of bridge the gap from, say, that beginner level to intermediate. And then for those students or those participants who are advanced and really invested in robotics and looking for something more than just a sort of, hour and a half once a week for 4 weeks, we offer a competition team as well, which spans, the entire year and meets weekly on Saturday mornings for 3 hours. So participants really have the opportunity to dive deep into robotics and learn more about those topics that if for an extended period of time that they may not necessarily have the opportunity to do, say, in a traditional school environment.
Yeah. And I remember back in my civil engineering days, we would they would give us like 500 popsicle sticks and a couple tubes of Elmer's glue, and then we had to see who could support the most weight over a certain time. We'd build all these bridge structures and stuff. And
Oh, we still have those programs too. So
I love those. Those are the best.
They are.
Yeah. And then Legos, man, that's a whole nother level. So Lego offers, I guess, little robot stuff or things that
Lego offers a variety of different platforms, and there's other comparable organizations as well. Lego happens to be the popular one. We utilize UB Tech Robotics as well, which offers sort of the same view of robotics or the experience for a student, which is utilizing sort of a handheld iPad to follow those build directions, and then utilize some block coding to code the robot to get it to do what you would like it to do or complete that particular task.
Yeah. So Kenny, maybe I could talk about what year one looked like. What were y'all looking for? Were y'all looking for something specifically in STEM, or how did that work out?
So what had happened was, and I think we had touched on this in a previous episode, was we were looking how to maximize our programming space. Right, we have 16 different classrooms in our facility, and at the time we were offering free childcare for parents that were coming to take classes and wanted to drop their kids off, and we were starting to see a drastic decline in the amount of kids getting dropped off for the free daycare. So we were utilizing a room for a service that we were averaging like 1.2 kids per day. So if we were talking from a business standpoint, the return on the investment and what we were doing, it wasn't maximizing the programming space. So we kind of just, brainstormed some things. Chris was looking to grow his program at the time. They were looking to venture into the town and Parks and Recreation component of programming. And looking at this space, we said it'd be perfect if we could turn it into a STEM classroom and give them a designated room where we can specifically set up this room for STEM programs, that we can maximize our space and utilize a portion of our building to generate registration and revenue. We met with Chris, and it wasn't a hard sell by any means, especially when he was clamoring for some space. And we ended up converting the room. We redid the floors. We took out some of the old equipment that was in there. Chris had some ideas of things that he needed in the room. We kind of refurnished it, and off we went with a STEM classroom at our Parks and Recreation facility. The first year, we ended up running 8 programs. We had 90 participants in that. That was in 2014. And as time went on, it continued to grow, and it continued to grow, where we hit our peak numbers in 2023 with 58 programs and 712 participants.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Craig.
What were some of the, so what did your room look like? How big was it? And what were some of the early things that you had to do to kind of get the room set up just for that initial launch phase?
So we had to get rid of the preschool carpets that were in there, that it made it look more tot friendly than more science, technology based. So it was taking a lot of that stuff out, bringing in new tables. We had the little itty bitty tables in there. So bringing in tables that, we can seat, elementary school, middle school kids in there. We redid the floors. We put in, I'm going to give a plug to Mataflex, because we utilize their flooring system in multiple different classrooms here in our facility. A snap in place flooring that's breathable, durable, easy to replace if necessary. So we redid the flooring in the rooms, took out shelving, put in new shelving and storage cabinets for Chris. And then Chris kind of just, put his own little touches on it, was able to bring in docking stations for laptops, some other things as far as for storage for, his Lego kits, his Lego sets. So now if you walked into this space, I mean, that room's got to be, I don't know, maybe just under 1,000 square feet, maybe 900 square feet, give or take. It has that science classroom feel.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Chris, what were some of the early things you brought into that room just to kind of get?
Yeah. So, and, the program obviously goes well beyond, any singular person, right? So I certainly have a great team of people that I work with and collaborate with, everything from college age students to, informal educators to certified public school educators. As of, in the beginning, it's funny because you mentioned the popsicle sticks and the glue, right? I've always said that I would love to write a book called Dollar Tree Science, because a lot of the materials that we utilized early on with a very limited budget was some of those free open source curriculum systems like NASA Education, and then building some of those kits and those units by simply going to your local Dollar Tree or grocery store or whatever that might be, and everything from the popsicle sticks to the toothpicks to the elastic bands to the pasta wheels to all of those types of different things.
Yeah.
Now, almost a dozen years later, we're looking to turn that room into more of a makerspace and really outfit it with 3D printers. The Parks and Recreation Department here has a lot of foot traffic during, say, the evenings and the weekends, and we envision the use of that particular room, which is situated really nicely in the main hallway, as a space where families can learn a little bit more about STEM education, but also do some drop-in, maybe a little sign up ahead of time, and get some of that more expert help on, say, a 3D printing or some fabrication in some capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, just speaking as a former civil engineer, and I'm a big fan of SpaceX and what they're doing down in Brownsville. And I can tell you some of the most advanced lessons in engineering can be taught with glue and popsicle sticks. Anytime I see them catching that starship, I just see a big pile of popsicle sticks. And obviously it's more advanced material and stuff, but the engineering is basically the same. So it's not that you can't teach really advanced lessons in engineering with simple materials.
Yeah, it's really about the process, right? So, giving not only youth, but also their families as well, those opportunities to go through that engineering design process, I think provides a really valuable experience. One program that we do offer, and we've had some large scale events like this at the Park and Rec, which is a family STEM night. So the family STEM night essentially is when, just like it sounds, families come together. We have about 15 to 20 stations where families can circulate through a variety of different hands-on activities. It could be everything from a simple robotics to designing a tool, designing a cotton ball catapult, to playing a math game, or launching a rocket and collecting data so they see some of those math connections, and then redesigning it to see if you can get it to fly a little bit farther. Yeah. So it's really about, our initiative is not just about the youth, but also bringing the parents together and maybe younger siblings or older siblings, and really having and fostering some of those family connections in the community as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would say, like, right now, probably more than ever, this is going to be the age of the engineer. There's so much engineering going on with fully autonomous robots, whether they're lawnmowers that are helping Kenny to maintain these fields autonomously, or whether it's catching a rocket, or whether it's building self-driving cars. These are all massive engineering problems, civil, electrical, mechanical engineering. And so I can't think of a better field to go into nowadays. It seems like it's the most exciting time to be an engineer.
Yeah, and in a traditional school environment, although obviously extremely valuable and needed, having those opportunities for informal education and extending the learning beyond the classroom is increasingly equally as important for youth and families who have a child who wants to explore their interest in, say, like a robotics topic, because we know that soccer, football, lacrosse, baseball is not for every kid, and they will find different kids will find different success in different arenas, and that's what we try to offer in our partnership here in Wallingford between the Parks and Recreation Department and CT STEM Academy, is giving those well-rounded opportunities that are just across a myriad of topics.
Yeah. Yeah. And just speaking as a former athlete, and I was a D1 athlete, and I played all kinds of sports, but really in my free time, I would spend 2 to 3 hours a day just playing with Legos as a kid growing up. And I still did sports, and I still did school, still did all the other stuff, but it was a big part of my life. And I ended up going into engineering and making a living out of it. But it's not like it's just because you do sports, you can't do
Of course.
exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so maybe let's talk about the early years. Maybe after year one, what did y'all kind of evolve into, and then we can move on to kind of where y'all are today.
I guess year one was pretty much, it was like the ground floor movement, and it was your basic robotics at that point in time. It was still learning what we had talked about, what STEM was about, right? I think Chris had a pretty good grasp on where it was going to go. It was introducing it to the community and getting it to people outside of the school system to see that it can be a viable part of Parks and Recreation. I wish I did print out like what the original 8 programs were for you, where I could give you the grassroots movement, but I didn't. But to grow into, I think Chris had touched on it, going from the basic robotics to 3D printing to the NASA astronaut exploring. We started with general programming. Now we do camps for, Christmas break, April vacation. We're running multiple different weeks of summer camps. We're actually going to explore this summer a STEM summer camp for the month of July, similar to what we used to do for our arts camp dating back a couple of years ago, where you can register in blocks. And it's almost like high school. It'd be like a half-a-day camp, but you can pick 3 different blocks. And you can go to one block from, let's say, block 1 is Lego Robotics from 9 to 9:45. You can go to 3D printing from 9:50 to 10:45. And then you can go to another, NASA Explorers from, 10:50 to 11:40, and they're done at 11:45, and they're out the door. To give them a multitude of different opportunities within the STEM curriculum that they can take part in for the month of July.
Yeah.
And just kind of building off of what Kenny had shared, and kind of turning the page and going back to the beginning. In those early days, as I had alluded to before, you kind of had to use some simple resources. Obviously, budgets are what they are, and you have to use some of those more simple materials. One popular program that we had used early on was a program that NASA had developed, NASA BEST, which was Beginning Engineering, Science, and Technology. And it basically takes the kids through the process of prototyping, say like a satellite, and then theoretically launching that with some balloon rockets and so forth.
Yeah.
The other piece too that we're really fond of, that we haven't done a whole lot of recently, is looking at STEM from a nature perspective. and getting the kids out into the parks. There's that natural geometry, there's that natural opportunity to incorporate STEM. One piece that we still utilize in some of our team building activities is that shelter building, and creating those lean-to type shelters just from natural materials that are out and about in the area. Kenny, I can remember early on going out to Bertini Park and having some programming out there, taking the kids for some nature hikes, and getting the opportunity to experience those, which we still keep elements of that today, and still offer periodically some nature walks and nature camps as well.
Yeah. Look, if ever y'all want to schedule a field trip to either Austin and go see the Tesla factory, or Brownsville and go see the factory, I would love to help y'all organize that, because I'm big fans of both of those, taking tours of both of them. And I know there's always, schools and colleges and even grade school kids that I see all the time taking tours of those factories, just so they can see the potential for the future that they might have working in the industry as an engineer.
I wonder if we can put that in the budget to get some airfare for a field trip.
Yes, we'll figure it out. Well, we just got to put it, you got to state it. This is what we want. And then the rest will just start to happen. Okay. So we're kind of at the halfway point. We're going to go ahead and play a little promotion for our facilities maintenance show. This is a show that we're building for the side of Parks and Rec that deals with maintaining the facilities. It's easily half of the manpower and funding goes into just maintaining these beautiful facilities that Chris has at his Parks and Rec department. And so we're creating a show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday, to talk about facility maintenance. And then our YPN show for young professionals that are in the industry of Parks and Rec. We have a show that's moved to Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, run by our 2 college interns. They run the whole thing start to finish, and they just bring on some of the new talent that's coming into this industry, highlighting what it's like to be involved in Parks and Rec in those early years. So we'll play these 2 promos, and then we'll come right back and finish up our conversation with Chris and Michael.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of Parks and Recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co., where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job. It's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility Maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy. On the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we bring you the real stories of tomorrow's professionals, people shaping the future, one idea at a time. Meet the very first DPRS interns to officially host their own segment, Aidan Tierney and Michael Morrow. With curiosity, passion, and a fresh perspective, they're stepping into the spotlight to lead meaningful conversations with today's rising leaders. The Young Professionals Network takes you inside the journeys, challenges, and major wins of young individuals making their mark across industries. From first jobs to bold ventures, every story fuels growth, ambition, and innovation. Each episode brings real conversations, fresh perspectives, and impactful insights created to motivate the next generation of professionals. Whether you're just starting out, exploring new paths, or figuring out your next move. Tune in to the Young Professionals Network every Thursday at 5 p.m. only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Don't miss it, because your next big idea might be one story away.
All right. So, Kenny, I called you by your last name again.
That's all right.
Before the show. It's like he's got two first names. So sorry about that.
Nah, that's all right.
Chris, you said you had some stats just to kind of color in, what STEM means and the numbers behind it and how it affects the kids. What do you have for us there?
In terms of statistics, I know that Kenny alluded to some of the enrollment numbers that we have there a little bit earlier, but percentage-wise, obviously there's a great need for students, or I would say our future leaders, to get into some of those STEM fields. I know that in our local area, we have a pretty big submarine production facility, electric boat, and with a lot of the contracts that they're receiving, there's a great need for young people, especially in that high school area, that age level, early college, to kind of get into those jobs because they just can't fill them. And I think that you're seeing a lot of that in a variety of different areas. So I know, Kenny, you had talked a little bit about our numbers early on. I don't know if you want to just restate that, what we started out at and what our peak was.
Yeah, I mean, it's grown tremendously. Like we had said, our peak was 2023 with 58 programs, 712 participants. We've averaged probably over the last 3 years, between 2023, 2024, and 2025, you're probably looking at close to 600 participants annually on average. 2023, 2024, was post-COVID. Coming out of that, there was a lot of grant money available that we took advantage of to offer one-day programming at no cost. And I think that helped us get people through the door to see what STEM was about and what it's grown into. During the break, I just got a chance to look at some of the classes from this past year. Video game design, coding. So those were some of our what best attended classes, with 23 and 21 participants in each one. Chris had touched on the family STEM nights, which have been wildly successful. We run, probably one seasonally, getting over, 20 families per season, per program. The NASA stuff has been a big hit for kids this past year. We've been doing summer field trips that, I'm sure Chris can probably touch on more as he deals with more hands-on and directly, where we do summer field trips up to a museum up in, is it just past Windsor, Chris?
It's Windsor Locks, yes.
Windsor Locks.
Yeah.
Where the kids meet here, they start here at the STEM classroom, they get on the bus, and they head up to is it the Air and Space Museum up there, right?
Yeah, and just to build off of what Kenny's saying here, this program is called Starbase. Starbase is actually a federally funded program through the Department of Defense. There are programs through, and I believe in all 50 states, if I'm not mistaken. The program itself is free. We do charge a fee just to cover bus costs and so forth. But the students have an opportunity on a full day basis to participate in a wide range of topics that, we may offer here, but it gives them a different perspective, because we know that the programming that we offer is not just about, us developing our things in our own little silo, but it's really about the partnerships, whether it's local, regional, national. And statistically, Craig, if we take a look at not just the participant numbers, but also the staffing numbers and what it really takes to pull some of these programs off, because as you could imagine, Kenny mentioned, video game design. That's not just something that you could have really anybody do. Somebody who teaches that needs to have a strong interest in it, be able to understand the coding behind it, and be able to also deliver that material to a youth that is not above their head, but in a manageable capacity. So, if we go back to Early on when we started this program, there were, probably less than half a dozen of us, probably about 6 of us that were involved in this, mainly, teachers who were, you know, wanting to impact kids beyond the classroom, whether that be in the evening environment or in a summer camp. Whereas now, my programming staff in the summertime will grow to upwards of about 30 people, and that really has to do with not only finding the right people, but working around schedules and so forth, but really bringing in those talented people that may want to work just a program or two. So not just full timers, but occasional people who have an expertise in a particular area, such as like a video game design.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to let people know the scale of what we're talking about here, because I know a lot of times when you're a parent, when you're a kid, a student, you want to make sure that you're participating in an industry that has a future, not one that's maybe on its way out or being replaced. So I don't know if y'all recently saw, but Elon Musk said that he sees a pathway for just one of his companies, just SpaceX, to be $100 trillion company, because it's basically entering in the new economy of space. And that is nearly the size of the entire planet's GDP, which is, I just looked it up, it's $117 trillion. So just one of his companies is seeing a path that they could scale to the same size as the GDP of the planet. And he said his one limiting factor is engineers, talented engineers that are willing to come put their time and energy into designing and building all the rockets and robotics and satellites that are just, because there's infinite real estate up in space, there's infinite energy up in space. And so definitely it is a future that you could put your kid in, and it has almost an infinite future. And we have a massive need to teach everything that you're teaching.
And I would add that there's in order to create that interest, there's definite need for qualified STEM educators, whether that is formal or informal as well. And Kenny mentioned effectively utilizing grant funding, and utilizing that grant funding to create access to STEM experiences to kids who may not necessarily be able to afford that experience. And that's extremely important to us, to keep that price point at a very reasonable level, keep it down, consistently pursuing grant funding. We've had a local partner here in Wallingford for since I've been offering enrichment programs for about 25 years in the Wallingford Rotary Club. And obviously, local businesses interested in supporting those initiatives and those efforts with, consistent small levels of funding, but have an impact over, that long-term time period.
Yeah. Yeah, and really a lot of the stuff you're teaching is just emerging. 3D printing's not that old. Robotics is not that old. Autonomous robotics is really just recently born. And so there really are not many masters of this. It's almost like the planet's figuring this out together. And so you don't need to have like all this experience as a child. If you've taught children at all, their ability to just adapt to the constant change is just insane, how quickly they just catch on to stuff.
Yeah, and I think the phrase or the term that I'll use in a moment really goes along with the concept of Parks and Recreation Department, which is that play-based learning, right? And I know it's a real hot topic now, but something that many parks and recs have been using for many years. And to your point, Craig, you don't have to be the expert to teach this. When we have educators come in, some educators say, "Ooh, I don't know a lot about STEM." Well, you just have to really be someone who's interested in encouraging kids to learn and be able to deliver that material. And you certainly don't have to be an expert. I'm not an expert in all these disciplines, but I'm able to find people, but I also recognize the inquiry-based value in what we offer kids, because I can learn alongside those kids and guide their learning experience and support their opportunity to explore a variety of different topics. And in the end, that's really what it's about, is the exploration, making friendships, having the opportunity to really to explore lots of different interests.
Yeah.
And I think to Chris's point, and to show his passion and dedication for what he's been doing. I mean, you know, I know time's limited and we can get into a whole nother component of this, but, you know, Chris has reached out and worked hard on getting grants from various different organizations. The Digital Harbor Foundation was a big grant for the Connecticut STEM Academy that Chris was able to secure with his efforts and work with the program. I also want to get in here too, just to give Chris some kudos as well. With the program, with his staff, and even with the participants and the kids who have done the program, is, you know, they've been on the state championship level as far as their robotics teams go. So starting a program with 8 programs and 90 participants and growing to its peak at 712 participants and a couple of appearances in the state championships for robotics is you know, it's nice to see for our town.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Kenny had mentioned the Digital Harbor Foundation. You know, I would be remiss to not give them a little bit of a shout out in terms of their coordination of the Rec to Tech Design Challenge, which we participated in back in 2019. The Design Challenge brought together Parks and Recs, nonprofit providers in their communities, to design proposals to essentially redesign a facility, if you will, and then present that in a live pitch in Baltimore. So we were selected as finalists, which was great, and we were able to receive some grant funding, which also helped us to you know, kind of finish the refurbishment of those programming spaces.
Yeah.
So it was a great opportunity to really you know, hear what the community wanted through listening sessions, through surveys, but also think really deeply about our own programming and what some of those pathways could be for kids.
Yeah. And Chris, I like how you said that you don't really have to be an expert. And I have gone to the front line and met some of these experts, and they're in their 20s. And so some of the best and brightest engineers at an alarming percentage of population are literally in their 20s. So that none of them have more than 20 years of experience in being a human. So there's nobody out there that has.
Right. And I'll second that by saying we have several staff that are younger, that are really their passion. One of their passions and expertise is 3D printing.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, a student who, an employee now who's just about 21 years old, he was a 5th grade student of mine many years ago, and he just led a 3D printing workshop, not only for myself, but also educators as well who are interested in learning more about this topic. And wow, his knowledge and his in-depth understanding of this topic is phenomenal, and he teaches those programs for us at STEM Academy.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea for another show. Maybe we can reach out to some of the students that have kind of graduated, you know, because now that it's been 10 years, some of these 15-year-olds are now 25, working full time, building out tomorrow's future.
Well, I haven't even, you know, it would be a great story, because there's many people. There's one person in particular who, you know, I co-lead this program with now. Her name is Laura Juarez, and she started with us back in 2011 as a middle school student, and joined the Young Astronaut Club program that I mentioned with the NASA Summer of Innovation seed money, and now is our robotics team director, and as Kenny said, quite successful. And she would certainly love to tell her story with a couple others. So yeah, that would be great if we could arrange that.
Yeah, I'm already seeing some homework for us. We'll get some of their graduated
Yep.
students. They can kind of take us into the real world application of things they learned from you, and how really you can get your start. And I think that's kind of what this is all about. It's more or less just inspiring the kids to show them what you can do with that part of your brain that just loves to invent and tinker and build things, like physical build things, which I think STEM is a great teacher of that.
And I think for us, Craig, as a community, it's nice to find a programming area again that's outside of the sports realm. I mean, you could still be an athlete, as you said, and still participate in STEM, but we're finding an avenue for people to come learn and play, right? That playful learning that Chris had talked about, in a fun, relaxed environment. We're looking to be the host site in 2027, Chris.
Yes.
2027 for the Robotics State Championships.
Wow.
To host it here at our facility, which would be an awesome get for us. Everybody thinks of us as, our gymnasium, basketball games, volleyball games, this, but you know what? Now let's go to robotics. Let's put the robotics championships in there and see what people think.
Man, I would love to be able to cover that. If y'all pull it off, let me know the time.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. And, in terms of just, talking about this whole partnership, it would be, I think it's important for us to mention too, that, this, the recognition of the impact of this program goes beyond just, Kenny and I as leaders in our respective departments, but, really great support from the executive level of the town with the mayor of Wallingford, both previous administration and current, as well as town council as well, really being interested in this program for, really making facilities available for us to provide these programs for, residents of the town, which also helps us to keep our costs down and provide those services that can be financially accessible for families in the community. So it really is a community-wide effort.
Kenny, what's the population of Wallingford?
We're roughly about 46,000.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason I asked that question is because you would think that you have to be some big major metropolitan area to do stuff like this. And y'all are just a normal American city that can do great work like this and prepare and really offer something super valuable.
Yeah, we really think that it can be replicated in a variety of different communities. I know Kenny and I are, hopefully going to present a workshop at a upcoming National Parks and Recreation Conference, and putting that proposal in because we want to share the good word, and we'd love to share the blueprint and the template so more kids in more communities can be impacted by these opportunities.
And we did get that idea from Craig LeBlanc on episode number 2 that I was on. He's like, you should present this at National. And I'm like, that's not a bad idea.
That's a great idea. It's, because one of the things that we're trying to accomplish is there are some amazing things done in Parks and Rec. And it's just, I hate when I hear the best kept secret sits in Parks and Rec. I'm like, okay, we need to get out of this secret stage and just, announce the great work that's being done. By the way, have y'all discovered any other cities doing anything similar to this?
So, I mean, I came in contact with a variety, of cities that were, through that Rec to Tech Design Challenge. I know that, and again, this was, 4 or 5 years ago. So I don't know about the sustainability, but I know there were Parks and Recreation departments. I know Pittsburgh had a pretty large initiative, Cambridge, Massachusetts. I know that there were some Parks and Recreation departments down south, Miami, but within that Park and Rec Design Challenge, that Rec to Tech Design Challenge, to your point, there were a lot of really large city-based communities that were involved in that. Not so much those smaller towns, and even we think that this could even be replicated in a rural environment as well. So,
tell me more about that Rec to Tech. What is that, and how did that come about?
Sure. So this was a national design challenge that required monthly meetings, required us to think really deeply about our programming and create a feasibility study and an implementation plan that we did need to present, along with a live pitch. But it really, there were specific parts that I thought were really helpful in terms of our own reflection. For example, listening opportunities from the community, putting out a survey to, get some feedback from the community in terms of what families were looking for with those offerings. Not just thinking about programs in a, isolated fashion, but thinking more about pathways for students, like those engineering type pathways, and what would we offer in those engineering type pathways for for young people to continue to explore. But it was a really inspirational program. It was a great process to go through, and to hear some of the different STEM initiatives that were happening, not only from big cities, but to Native American reservations as well. So all over the country. Do I think that STEM initiatives are happening at a great rate in parks and recreation departments? I don't have any statistics, but I would guess not. And that's why, we'd love to share more with anybody who's interested and would like to contact us.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm sure after Kenny gives that presentation, are you going to give that, or have you been accepted yet for the upcoming NRPA?
No, we just actually have met. We finalized descriptions, course description or presentation description, titles. I'll probably be submitting it right when I get back. So today's my last day. I finished this show and then I'm off until the new year. So probably once I get back, I'll submit it for review, and hopefully it gets accepted as a presentation at National. I haven't seen, this past show in Orlando was my second National conference. I haven't seen anything like it listed in the last 2 years. I don't know if it's been listed previous, but I can say, I think within our state here, I think there's some people who do touch on it, but not to the extent that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a shout out or call out to everybody that's doing something similar to what we've talked about. Let's kind of rally the troops, circle the wagons, and maybe do a several part series on the Daily Parks and Rec show. Who knows? It might turn into a weekly or monthly show, because I really would like to highlight this and see more of this going on. And then Chris, if you want to maybe reach out to some of your former students, I'd love to have them as a guest on the show, and any others out there.
Thank you for the invite. Appreciate that. Yes, we'll follow up on that.
All right. So any closing remarks as we're kind of winding up the end of the show?
No, I think from my standpoint, as the overseer of the facility, the programs, and what we do here, I was a part of it as a programmer. And as I moved up the ladder and got promoted, I still continued to see it as a viable programming option for our department and what we do. And I only think that's going to grow as time goes on, and as long as Chris is around to allow it grow. We've been fortunate enough to have somebody like him in our community, to bring this to us, and to we gave him a blank canvas, and we're like, look, you got your finger on the pulse. You tell us what you see, and we'll look to make it happen however we can, whether it's within our facility, outside of our facility, at a park, and a nature trail. Let's make it happen if we can. My younger son was fortunate enough to have Chris as a 5th grade teacher. I think that was his last year in the classroom, and he's an athletic kid, but he loved the hands-on component of learning in the classroom and doing what Chris did. So we're happy with the ways the STEM programs are moving here. We're always trying to put our minds together and see what else can we do to make this more of a staple for people in our community. And I think our summer camp idea that we're looking to explore and put into place for 2026, creating a block scheduling that kids can have a choice of 6, 7 different programs that they can bounce around to, for a half-day program, gets them exposed to a lot.
Fantastic, Chris.
And, I would just wrap it up by highlighting the partnerships. I think that, partnerships between town agencies and nonprofits create those extension of town services and provide opportunities for youth and families that are really valuable in the development of a young person. And I think this is a great example of that, not only from the programming perspective, but the marketing and getting the word out to families through a really fantastic brochure that is produced on a regular basis, to utilizing the facilities as well, because it is a multi-layered, multi-component effort. And it doesn't just take one particular department, but as Kenny said, it takes everybody coming together and really offering those opportunities for youth and families.
Yeah. Well, I'd definitely be open to throw in some of our editors to maybe create, even if it's just like a little short clip or commercial. If y'all can take any videos, of course, with the parents and kids' permissions, of just, like a workshop or whatever it is y'all do, and showing the kids working with the Lego sets and 3D printing, that would be great. And we could make y'all a little promotion for what y'all do. And then maybe this turns into a weekly series, a monthly series, all about STEM in Parks and Rec. I think that would be something we'd be willing to do our part in, but let's just start and see where it goes.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And,
Okay,
and Craig, I think it's February, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, February 2027.
Yes, that is correct.
Is the state championships for the robotics. So pencil it in your calendar, and then once we get a specific date, I can shoot you the details.
Yeah. 26 or 27?
27. Did I say 26? It's 27.
27. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Definitely keep us posted on it. And we'd like to give you all as much airtime as possible, because this is some cool stuff. And I'm personally interested in it because of my background. So I'd like to see this succeed and be in every Parks and Rec department across America.
Cool. I appreciate
Excellent.
that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot. Y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see y'all. Hopefully we can create something cool for the Parks and Rec. And thank y'all for all the work y'all are doing.
Thank you for having us, Craig. We appreciate it.
Yep. Y'all take care. All right.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. So I see it. Another show for the Daily Parks and Rec, DPRS Media Network. Such cool stuff that they're doing. And it just highlights, the potential inside of Parks and Rec to bring value to their communities and really teach something that really elevates kids. And not just, like Kenny said, not just in sports. I know a lot of times we think parks and recreation, it's just green spaces, special events, sports, but there's really so much more when you see Kenny has this space, whether it's after school care or whether it's just, childcare while the parents are working out, doing something at their facility. It really is a great opportunity for somebody like Chris to come in and teach something that's super valuable, and then really creates a future that the kids can really find a future career path. So really cool. Hope they get accepted. If you're listening, NRPA, definitely accept Kenny to speak about this and what they're doing, the work they're doing with Chris. I think it is something special that's worthy of highlighting, and then maybe we can get this done in a lot more Parks and Rec facilities. I already have a few in mind. Shout out to Henry County, Georgia. I know they're going to take this and run with it. So hopefully that'll be something that they can kind of model after what Chris and Kenny are doing over there in Wallingford, and maybe bring that to Henry County, Georgia. I think they're going to take the bait and run with it. But there's also plenty others that I know are always looking for good programming. And so what a great episode. So, all right. So we got a lot coming up for the rest of the week as we come into the end of the year. First of all, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you for all the love and support that we've gotten in our first full year, 2025, with the Daily Parks and Rec show. It's been amazing creating content and really creating the megaphone for the Parks and Rec industry to highlight things like exactly what we saw here today. I just think there's so many great things that are just kind of buried and kept secret and just not getting the word out. But our goal here at the Daily Parks and Rec show is to highlight exactly the kind of stuff like we saw here today, and hopefully share a lot of the tricks and trades tricks of the trade to offer really solid programming for your community. All right, so that's all I have for today. Tomorrow we do have a show scheduled, and we'll probably just show up on Christmas Day just to say hello and wish everybody a Merry Christmas coming up this Thursday. And but y'all have a great rest of your holiday week, and I will see y'all here shortly. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Welcome to DPRS Media Co., the first media company built for the people behind the Parks and Rec community. We don't just cover on Parks and Rec, we elevate it, we amplify it, we honor it. At the heart of everything we do is one mission: to serve the public servants, the professionals who design, maintain, and lead the parks that shape our communities. Under the daily Parks and Rec show, we produce 6 powerful platforms. Leadership in Parks and Rec, a spotlight on directors, superintendents, and visionaries shaping the future of public spaces. Facility maintenance, where the boots hit the ground, a deep dive into the systems, crews, and craftsmanship that keep our parks clean, safe, and beautiful. Young Professionals Network, shining a light on the next generation of Parks and Rec. Students, interns, and mentors sharing how we build a legacy together. Youth Sports Mastery, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. This series is for coaches, parents, and rec leaders working to make youth sports fun, fair, and meaningful again. The Rec Room, hosted by the passionate leaders of Henry County Parks and Rec. This show brings frontline energy and real-life stories from the field. And the weekly Parks and Rec Post, our official newsletter delivering stories, insights, and community wins every week. We are DPRS Media Co., LLC, a media company with a mission to uplift the professionals who serve every community, every park, every day.